It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
For Utah, they've got the University of Arkansas on the roster or on the schedule in their non-conference schedule. And John Nabors joins us now, owner of Inside Arkansas and host of Locked On Razorbacks. John, good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody out there in the great state of Utah?
Well, we just said goodbye to the hockey playoffs. We're waiting for the lottery with the NBA and the Jazz. And in the meantime, we're thinking college football, John. So we're pretty good. We got options.
Yeah, well, I wish hockey was a bigger deal here in Arkansas, but unfortunately it's like basketball transfer portal is about as crazy as it's getting right now for Arkansas fans. So, but we're all over the place.
Utah's playing Arkansas in football. Arkansas is coming off a 2-10 season and with 10 straight losses. So that tells people a lot right there. But if you look a little closer, 5 of those were by a field goal or less. A couple of them were one-pointers. How much of a base is there to build off this team, and how much is it hit the transfer portal and fix this? Because 2-10's a mess.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take you one step further into this whole debacle that is called Razorback football. Not only have they, of course, as you mentioned, gone 2-10 and lost 10 straight games and had some of those close losses, since 2012, since the day that Bobby Petrino wrecked his motorcycle on that infamous day nearly 15 years ago, the Razorback football program in one-possession games has gone 17-49. Let me repeat that. 17-49 in one-possession games since 2012. If you want to know why Arkansas as a football program is not being viewed in the way that maybe it once did, or at least viewed in a way that's respectable, there's your reasoning right there. And so now you have a new coach in Ryan Silverfiel. You have essentially a new roster. I believe over 80% of the roster brand new, mainly from the transfer portal. You have some new freshmen. You have a complete clean slate inside the football program, and it just happens to be at a great time when they make it 9 SEC football games. You got Georgia being your first SEC football game, but of course the Utah team that you mentioned they got to get through. So it's a tough thing to navigate, but it's interesting because obviously in the SEC, Arkansas has not had that much success over the past decade. In fact, in the past 10 years, Arkansas, five of those 10 seasons, half of them have ended with 1 win or less in SEC play. Just can't happen. So this is trying to rejuvenate the program. And to me, that Utah game, game 2, is by far the most important game of the season this year.
Yeah, and they got to come all the way out here facing a team that has his quarterback back, and at 11-2, they obviously made a bunch of coaching changes, but they're expected to be good. And they do have their quarterback back with Dampier. And for Arkansas, I understand it's a two-way battle between KJ Jackson and AJ Hill. Tell me, which of those initials is going to win it?
I think it's going to be KJ Jackson. I think it's always been KJ Jackson from the jump, and I think that's the way that they've approached it has been more of a coaching type of mentality of just trying to, not give too much out there and give everybody a puncher's chance. Because here's the thing: when Ryan Silverfiel was hired, the day he was hired, he had 2 players that were currently on the roster be kind of part of that and part of that announcement to get people excited. One of them was Quincy Rhodes, the defensive end, which by far was the biggest get, because he was a player that, despite going 2-10, he was a player that a lot of NFL draft experts had going in second round, in some cases maybe even a possible first round at the defensive end position. But the other player was KJ Jackson, who was the backup quarterback last year for Taylon Green, came in and started one game, played a little bit, but that was the other one. And I just don't think that you would have gone through, if you are Ryan Silverfield, through all of that process and all that rigmarole and bringing him back and showcasing him and all that if KJ Jackson was not going to be the quarterback. So I think he's the guy. I think he's going to end up being the guy. Is it by default? Is it because they have no better option? That's the ultimate question. But I do believe when it's all said and done, KJ Jackson is going to be the QB1 for Arkansas.
Reading up on spring football in Arkansas, I was surprised to see that you still get to see fairly significant portions of the spring practices, and it's been duly noted the same offensive line keeps rolling out there. Is that a sign that they've actually got a really good O-line, or is that a sign that there's a lack of depth and by default it's these 5 guys? How do you feel about that group?
Well, as far as your practice thing, yeah, they had to do that for sure because under Pittman and everything, it was locked down, and they're trying to do some things to try to get the fan base back. I don't think that they've done enough, but they're still at least trying to open it up and be more accessible to the team, which is nice. But as far as the offensive line goes, I believe that it's a middle-of-the-pack SEC offensive lineman. I don't think it's horrible. It's not bad. I mean, you're returning 2 starters from last year's offensive line with Caden Kittler at the center position, which is extremely important, and also Kobe Branham, who's a young player who has a lot of promise. So you have him, and then you added some guys that really were some good gets out of the transfer portal, whether it's Bryant Williams, came from a smaller school but had a lot of different offers. I know Tennessee was trying to get after him and get him on the team, but you got him. You brought some guys over from Memphis that I know Ryan Silverfiel was really big on too. And ironically enough, Ryan Silverfiel, his background is offensive line. Like that's where he really got his start going. And during the spring practices, not only did I like the depth and like what I saw from some of the things from the offensive line, but you also had Ryan Silverfiel over there the majority of the time working with him. As a head coach, he's always going everywhere, but with the individual drills, the vast majority of the times that I got to see, he's over there with the offensive line. So you would think, I know this didn't go the right way with Pittman, but you would think that if your head coach is by trade and his background is offensive line, that should mean your offensive line should be your strength or at least one of your strengths. So time will tell, but I think where it stands right now as far as the roster goes, they're a fine offensive line, but I think they're far from being a bad offensive line.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
He brought his offensive coordinator from Memphis with him. And so looking at Memphis, they've usually had a good offensive line, or not offensive line, just an offensive unit. We expect much of the same in the way Memphis ran its offense.
I think so. I mean, you don't do that. You don't come in here and say, all right, we're going to change what made us successful for the past 6 or 7 years, the past times that we were there in Memphis. Like, we're not going to do that. So I think we're going to see something similar. And I'm just basing off of personnel. I think that this offense is going to be based where it's not going to be flashy, and not to say they don't have good players. It's just not going to be the offense that we saw maybe the past couple of seasons with Arkansas and Bobby Petrino or anything like that. I think it's going to be focusing so much on controlling the time of possession, limiting turnovers, limiting mistakes, and just trying to grind out some games. If Arkansas is going to win some games, especially big games this year, it's going to be ugly games. It's going to be low scoring, kind of boring, whatever, which, hey, that's fine as long as you win. But just given the circumstances, I think that it's not going to be an offense that we're going to look at the end of the season and be like, man, that was a fun offense to watch, which is fine. I think it's just going to be a lot more efficient of an offense because they're really focusing on that. They're focusing on doing the little things right. And considering the quarterback situation, I'm not very trusting of it. It doesn't look very great right now, just from what I've seen from spring. But running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, I think they have some pieces where they can at least make it a serviceable offense this year.
Are there any difference makers? Anybody the NFL might be drooling over, or is it more the system and everybody's got to execute?
Well, it's really tough, man, because, again, like you've added, literally like 80% is just so many new players in here.
Yeah.
But I will say that there's been some guys that have stood out. Like I really think Braylon Russell, he's been a running back that's one of the few guys that's been retained. He slimmed down a lot. He was a 4-star running back here out of the state of Arkansas, and he's going to enter in his junior year. He slimmed down, and he looks really good. He looks like the way an SEC running back should look. He looks lighter on his feet. And also Chris Marshall who's a guy that originally he's a wide receiver, started his career at Texas A&M, transferred around, ended up at Boise State here recently. But he's had some trouble off the field. He's had some issues that are pretty well documented. But his talent level, you see it. Like, you can just look at the guy back. Yeah, there's a reason why Texas A&M wanted him originally. He's definitely a game breaker. So those are the couple ones I would watch as far as, solid guys that you can maybe think that could be game breakers. But other than that, we just haven't really seen enough to know one way or the other.
How about along the defense? Defensive end, Quincy Rhodes, I read a little bit about him. Against Utah, man, they ran the ball like crazy last year. I mean, they were as good as anybody in the country, and they were right there with the service academies, which run the ball all the time. So I'm expecting more of the same with them to be able to run the ball at an extremely high level. I realize they lost 2 offensive linemen to the NFL in the first round, no less. But nevertheless, the history has shown us that Utah can run the ball. So I'm wondering from the defensive perspective to be able to stop them.
Well, I can tell you this, that the defense is going to be much improved from a year ago, because it's hard to not improve from being absolutely god-awful. Like, it just is really, really tough not to at least improve there. But honestly, I think the defense might be the strength of Arkansas, as crazy as it is. Now, that strength may not be enough to win them 10 games, but I think the hiring of Ron Roberts, he's a defensive coordinator who was there at Florida over the past few years, a lot of SEC experience, was at Auburn at one point in time. He's brought a great staff, a great recruiting staff, especially over, and he's being very, very creative. It's not just a simple, like, all right, we're going to run a 4-3 defense, now 4 down linemen. And no, he has gotten it to where he has a lot of hybrid position players. He has guys that are DNs as well as linebackers. He has guys that are linebackers as well as cornerbacks. I mean, he's got these hybrid things to where you're going to see a lot of different formations getting run around. And I like the idea of it, because at Arkansas, you're not going to get the big-time upfront dudes all the time like Georgia or Texas or anything like that. So you got to get creative. And I think that the way he's approached it and approaching his personnel is really great. So I think they're going to be better at getting after the quarterback. I think they're going to be better in the secondary, which has been a huge problem for them. But the running attack is going to be interesting, because they don't have necessarily the size that you would think. So how are they going to be able to be physical up front? That's where the creativity may come into place. But, I think Arkansas is going to be a better defense. I think that their strength is going to be more so of getting after the quarterback. But that rushing attack, especially going up against a physical team, that's going to be the ultimate challenge, and they'll have an early one against Utah to solve that one.
I'm interested in your levels of defense. If they were truly god-awful, are you looking for just merely hideous, well below average, within reach of mediocrity? Where are you looking here?
Yeah, I'm thinking of just not giving up 80-yard touchdowns every game, something like that. Just kind of being to where you can put lipstick on a pig, don't pardon the pun, and just try to make it work. Because Arkansas's not had a great defense for a long time now, but there is their big plays, it was their penalties. It's just not fundamentally sound. Just being good enough to where, hey, if you can make a few stops, hey, get a couple 3-and-outs, maybe get up an interception or 2. Just do some little things like that to make a difference. I think that'll go a long way.
He's John Nabors, owner of Inside Arkansas, host of Locked on Razorbacks. John, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Thanks for giving us a little peek at Razorback football.
No problem at all. Looking forward to being out there in Salt Lake City this upcoming football season. It's going to be a lot of fun, great area out there, and looking forward to that matchup. Should be a good one.
All right. Thank you, John. That'll be Utah and Arkansas week 2 of the season. PK, he paints a pretty bleak picture. We are fortunate we are not covering teams that have that bleak an outlook.
Well, you're 2-10.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's...
Yeah. But and 2-10, bad year. But to trace it back to one possession games for almost 15 years now, yikes.
Yeah, and your quarterback leaves, Green. He was a kid. I think he was at Boise, right? And then went down to Arkansas.
Correct. Yeah, Galen Green.
Now going to try to make it in the NFL. So they've got to reload there. It looks like it's going to be a struggle for them. I would expect Utah to roll, actually.
Yeah. Especially when he starts talking about, not very big and physical in the run defense. You're like, well, okay. So now we know what.
And as both of you said, a god-awful defense.
Ugh,
I've never heard you use the expression god-awful.
Truly. Get the entire quote there. Yeah, it's not really my go-to. It kind of shocked me when he said it, but like
I've done this
A
show.
lot of times you get these on and you talk about how some people in the media are fans following teams and all that, and you just lit those guys up.
DJ, I've done this show, so we went back last year because I wanted to figure out when I started with you guys. Mm-hmm. So today is my 12-year anniversary with you two.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary!
Thank you.
Cinco de Mayo, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I can tell you, in 12 years, I have never heard that phrase come out of your mouth.
It did surprise me.
It wouldn't have if he hadn't said it, but it just
I know, but still, that's not a Sniggledorf.
Down on these guys. I mean, you think turn the page with a new coaching hire and 80% of the roster's new. Nope, he's down. Down.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's really bad. Saw the Sun Devils do it, but they had an NFL back sitting there that we didn't really know about. We knew decent. The quarterback played well, and an NFL receiver on the other side, and so they had some NFL talent. And they call lightning in a bottle, and good for them. I wouldn't count on that very often, though, to go from that bad to that good in a single season, particularly in the SEC.
Yeah, and he did it. The coach did it in his second year. We're going to coach here in his first year.
Right.
So can they set the table a little bit and then get it up and running?
And Silverfield coached 1 year of high school ball, and he was 1-9. So he sucked in high school.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.